Welcome to the Uranus and Gemini horoscopes for all 12 signs. We're going to be looking at how Uranus and Gemini affects Aries through Pisces. Now, with this video, I did have to get very, very creative with coming up with how Uranus and Gemini will be affecting all the signs, and I'm not going to deliver this video in the traditional way that I usually do it. Usually the way that I do these videos are more spiritual, evolutionary, maybe psychological, maybe, life lesson type, very, very personal to you. But because this is such a collective transit, and in that video that I did yesterday on Uranus and Gemini for the collective, it was so much about inventions that I was talking about. Well, just, be forewarned of the information that it may be saying, may not be relating to you entirely, but it may be very, very interesting, and it may still be incredibly valuable to you. So there is valuable to this video, and I'm not going to just cheat by looking at, this Uranus transit is going to happen in your 8th house or whatever, and you're going to have shakeups in your inheritance and other people's money. Okay. Shallow. You can be general in a way where you can be deep at the same time. I think that, astrologers just have this general way of going through signs, but it can be general also being deeper, and I kind of illustrate that with how I do the 12 sign readings. So follow along for your sun, moon, and rising sign. If you don't know your moon and rising sign, go to astro.com and look up that information there. Watch for your rising sign predominantly, your sun sign secondary, and then your moon sign is important. Also, it deals with more emotional, intuitive, soulful elements of who you are. Timestamps will be in this video, whatever platform that you are watching this on. Hopefully they'll show up on both platforms. If they do not show up on YouTube, then they're in the description box below, so you can go directly below. Sometimes YouTube doesn't show the timestamps there. Alright, let's start with Aries, first of all. So, this is about technology. This transit is about technology. And there's certain technologies that can help you get what you want in your life. Because Aries wants all these things. Aries wants to, go for the gold and, get all these things. Get the nice house. Get the nice, treadmill. Get the nice, the person that they're dating. Or the bike that they want to ride, because Aries is a very, very physical sign. It's about exercise. It isn't entirely that, but it can have physical, attributes to it. It's kind of on the side of like physical exercise. So, just know that there are certain technologies to help you get what you want to get in this life. So, whatever those technologies are, you can really, really, go out in big ways to achieve these things with these technologies, such as, computers, how they help you research the things that you want and market them and find out the location of where they're located. And then also pen to paper is also a huge part of this when it comes to writing down your desires and really achieving these things very, very special in a kind of way. And it does take a lot of time to sort of maneuver up these things very, very carefully. So you can jot down your ideas of what you want. You can look up your ideas. There's so many resources with that. Another thing with Aries is there's this thing with holding on to an egoic need to, for things to be a certain way. Because Aries is the ego. And Aries has this desire, like, I want things to be a certain way. Things need to go this way, otherwise I'll be unhappy, otherwise I'll be unsatisfied. There's this rigidity to things being a certain way with Aries, where it's like my way or the highway. And at worst, Aries can be pretty darn self-righteous and pretty egoic. So, the more you are open to change during this transit, the more you're open to things going whatever way that they're going to go, and surrendering your egoic need for things to go a certain way. You just be open to whatever and just surrender. Like you have a lot of power, Aries, but there are a lot of things in life that you just need to surrender to that are out of your control. So understand what is in your power and what isn't. And just don't try to go into wishful thinking of, oh, I wish I could do this, I wish I was powerful to change this. You're powerful to change a lot of things, and Aries wants to be in the driver's seat. It wants to be the one changing all these things, doing all these things, but it can't change everything. Like we are, as humans, are so powerful, but we don't have control over everything. And so it could also be, Aries is a very extroverted sign, very outside, external sign, and so it's good to get outside and interact with others in your life. So who do you want to, who do you want to interact with? Be it a friend or a colleague or somebody. Really forming this bridge to form these social connections and being very, very in tip-top shape when it comes to who you want to actually meet is, really, really important for Aries. When it comes to, you need to put yourself out there. Aries needs to put itself out there and make itself known to the world. Like, I'm independent, I'm strong, I'm courageous. Like, these are the messages that Aries wants to send. These are the messages that I want to put out on social media. Very Aries qualities, and I think a lot of that is expressed in that song for you that I did, which is very, very Aries Sun of me to do. So interacting with others in your life, interacting with those that really matter to you, those that really mean a lot to you, and being realistic about money. Aries can have this ability to overspend. I think one of the characteristics for Aries South Node, one of the tendencies to leave behind, is being very irresponsible with money. Like Aries has this, like, I want it now. There's this thing that I want that's costly, and I just want it now. I just want to spend all my money on it now. So Aries is learning to be more realistic about their money and save and keep things in a checking account. And the more you can be realistic about your spending when it comes to how much you invest, so that you're not overspending, so that you're not overdoing it. That can really, really help you where you're managing your money very financially, and where you are living within your means as best you can, and not overspending on these, just and like, do you actually want this, or is this just a shiny thing that you're seeing that's just superficial? Like, choose to spend your money on things. Like, you can spend your money on things that are what you really want, and not these shiny attractions. Okay, Taurus. Taurus is a fixed sign, and as a fixed sign, it can be very, very rigid energy, very, very stuck in its ways, very, very fixed in its ways, and very rigid in its ideas, very, very stubborn in its ideas. Like, I have this idea and I'm clinging to it. So, when you can listen up to these kind of things, and just be more open-minded to new ideas, and you'll find a lot of grounding in this life. Now, if you were to be watching a show and you can click something that allows you to participate in the show and become a character in the show and control the outcomes of it. Do it in a way where it's aligned with your values, Taurus. Like, it's really, really important to ask yourself, like, very, very important with Taurus. Do the characters that you're interacting with on TV, in movies, do they really align with your values? You could ask yourself the question, like, is what I am choosing to invest my mental energy in when it comes to the shows I'm watching, when it comes to the movies watching, are those things I really want to watch? Because Taurus is about values. It's a huge lesson with Taurus, a huge, trait of Taurus is about your values. And so if it's not something that you value, if you're watching a show and it's like, I don't like this at all, I don't get this at all, I don't, jump the red flag on the yellow end goal, then I don't even know what I'm getting myself into now. So you don't want to come to those conclusions. So it's very, very important that you evaluate, like, what is worth your values and what isn't, and choose to watch shows and interact with characters on the shows. Like you don't have to interact with characters in shows that are not worth your values, that destroy your stability and destroy your inner peace, because they're going to have their own where they come from. They are going to come from another place. They're going to come from a different background. They're going to have a different story. They're not going to know you at all. And they're fictional. So you do have to be very, very mindful that you are interacting with those characters, if you were to interact with characters, if that should ever be invented, that you are choosing to, choose shows that are worth your values and interact with the characters in shows and be a character that, you value. It's very, very important. Another thing is that, your clothes are powerful. Like, being very, very conscious of what you wear and the frequency that it, emotes, the frequency that it puts out. Like, I know that an astrologer had a very, very interesting thing with, like, if Uranus was a cloth or a texture of clothing, what would it be? Look at the textures and the colors, the quality, and the vibration of what you are wearing very, very seriously, and choose to wear clothes that make you feel good about yourself. Don't wear clothes just for others, just to please others, just to get along with others, just to put others on the, the stereo one after the other. Like, choose to wear clothes that you like for yourself, Taurus. And then financial history. Looking at your family's financial history, because you can make a better tomorrow with your financial history. You can make, it into something very, very easy when it comes to what you are financially investing in. And that becomes very, very important, because what you're investing in financially is really, really huge for you. Because, look at the financial gains and the money that was made and how much money. And do something that is not overkill and overrun with your values. If you come from a family that just makes a lot of money or gives away a lot of money, that's overly generous. Hint for a future video that I might be doing on a certain content creator that's the biggest out of them all. Maybe you can guess who that is. I want to do a podcast episode about him sometime. But anyway, looking about your, genetic history, to see what financial gains were made. But, financial, breakfalls to see if they were successful or not successful, to see if they were ethical or not ethical, to see if, like, people could make money just for selfish gains. And the cynical qualities are huge with this, where, people are making money, family members are making money just out of, greed and just wanting more and more and more and more. So looking at the dynamics and the motivations behind your family making financial gains in the past. Gemini. Gemini is about technology. It's an air sign. It's about, like, Twitter and, like Gemini is about, like, it's Mercury. It's the messenger. Like how, like, Mercury sends the messages. Like, Gemini is the messenger from one, place to another place. It's that kind of thing. Where it is the messenger, and it kind of sends messages, all over, really, to any possible place, to any particular place. And so, can you appreciate the technology around you that sends these messages? This technology where you send messages out to each other, like Gemini is the messaging system. Can you appreciate the messages that are sent online to each other? And can you also appreciate the the technology around you in your life, and the effectiveness of that, and the technological relationships that you have with those things? And looking back on the the last Uranus and Gemini transit, to see what happened then, because the last Uranus and Gemini transit, TVs were invented. TVs were invented, and computers were invented. So that is where, looking at the technology that we have now as opposed to in the past, and how that makes for a very, very prosperous gain very, very easily. Okay. So now, the next thing is that you don't have to worry about transportation. Gemini has this worry with like getting around to places, and being able to move from place to place effectively, move from place to place conveniently, move from place to place in a very opulent way. And so, there's certain technologies that may come out during Uranus transit that can actually really, really benefit you and really, really help you to become, and support you to become more spontaneous. Just more free and liberated, more, like, less complications. You can plan things out better. You can map things out better. You can get around easier, with where you're going. So these technologies can support you with your transportation. And then also, Gemini is all about stimulation. Like anything can stimulate a Gemini. They're open to any stimulation at all. It could be a bottle in the shower and a label on it. It could be learning about the window that you see in your house. It could be about a certain topic in history. It could be about learning, reading cookbooks, not necessarily doing the dish, but learning about how to make the dish. Like, it's open to any stimulation at all, even what is unethical, and it doesn't have very, very good boundaries with what is worth investing its mental energy into in terms of that stimulation, and what isn't worth investing its mental time and energy into. And so it's very, very important to not cheat using AI. because AI can be a means of factorizing factorations. And when it comes to using AI, you can become very, very Stignatian, where you are just using it for just instead of you in your own autonomy creating something out of your own choice, you're using this technology which is inhuman, doesn't have emotion, doesn't have feeling, doesn't have personal experience, whatever. It just creates it and just is, basically takes away our humanity by mimicking what we do and just making it inhuman and making it non-emotional, making it not like taking away this like the sacred AI. You have to understand, Gemini, takes away the sacredness and the special quality of what we do as humans by making it computerized. Like, can create songs, can create videos, can create movies, can all these things. Well, aspects of it are helpful, and we do want to use it ethically. Like, it is part of our reality, and it will become an even greater part of our reality. But you don't have to cheat using it. You can, still use AI very, very effectively, and do things out of your own creation with it. That's very, very important. And then Gemini has this ability to multitask. To do one thing, to have, like when you're cooking, you have a pot of rice going, then a pot of tomato sauce going at the same time. And you can manage both things at once. Like you're doing this project here and then that project at the same time. Like Gemini has this ability to tackle and balance and hold multiple areas of life at once. It has the ability to, like, your dog is barking over here, you're taking over the dog. You're taking over the phone. Like there's a lot going on in the world of Gemini because it has so many things going on at one time that it can balance, so many different things at one time. And it can do so many things at multiple times. So use this to your advantage by being flexible with the energy and being adaptable with the energy. And multitasking, because in life there's going to be a lot of things to juggle, and you're very, very good at juggling those balls. Cancer. It's very, very important for Cancers. Like, does your work feel emotionally secure for you? Does your work situation feel stable to you, feel emotionally resonant to you, makes sense for you in a kind of a poignant way, Cancer, Cancer is one of those signs that wants to make everywhere that it has its home and family, everywhere. Its home, like it puts pictures of its family often in its workplace. Like it wants to make everything, everyone that it meets, it's an extension of their family. And it's such a special quality with Cancer because it treats everyone like family. It treats everyone so nurturing and so caring and so exuberantly nice. So it's about creating a work process, a work situation that feels secure for you, that holds true for you in your life. So, that becomes really, really important for Cancer. And, does your work feel emotionally secure to you, or do you feel insecure in your work? The way that you interact with those in your close circle could change. Maybe paying attention to the more emotional dynamics. Like Cancer is a water sign, and water signs are about the emotional dynamics of relationships as opposed to the intellectual dynamics of relationships. So the way that you interact with others could change from something being so very, very private, being very, very so locked in and closed in and pined in, to something more open-ended, to something more extrovert, to something more communicative with the masses, where the way that you interact with those could change where you are connecting on a more emotional level with them. And it's not about just connecting emotionally with others. Like Cancer is about the emotional connection, like leaning into your emotions and sympathizing and empathizing and nurturing and caring and all that. But this transit is asking you to connect intellectually with others. To connect, to bond in those kind of ways where you're connecting on a mind level with words, with ideas, with communication. Those connections are going to be very, very important for you during this time because that's how often we communicate. Like how you communicate emotions is through talking and speaking. But when I say this, like connect on ideas, like it doesn't have to be just, the emotions don't have to be the focus of the conversation. And also be just ideas of things, intellectual topics, plans, goals, like all of these intellectual type things that are very, very aerial, like Uranus and Gemini is very, very much intellectual. So, Cancer, it doesn't just have to be emotional. Like, that is so much of life, but it's not all of life. Like, a lot of it is intellectual. So, bonding in that way, and bonding about the intellectual topics that you feel emotionally secure talking about, that's going to be the key for you. And also, you can renew and refresh your life with, especially with renewable energy technologies. But it's just asking you, like, if your emotional life and if your home life feels very, very stale, and if you're stuck in a, old way of doing things that just doesn't work out for you anymore, that you're in a stagnant family situation, your family's not getting you, your kitchen has ants crawling in it, or your food is just the same old food, or the children don't change their behavior. It's like, can you revolutionize this? Can you innovate this? Can you bring fresh energy into your home life? Like, Uranus wants you to bring fresh energy into it. Leo. Now there's a term that goes around in the historical context of the world, and it's called Renaissance. And what this word means is a rebirth of ideas, like something that, had a thriving period of ideas and revolutions. But then it just kind of went out of style for a time and sort of went stagnant for a time. Then boom, all these ideas and all these inventions and all this new knowledge comes to the fore. And, notice at this time, like, you may feel like, you have, new ideas. Like you may feel like, all of a sudden, new ideas are coming together, very, very easily for you. So, you may have new ideas for your creative visions, for your goals that you want to set coming, and notice the ideas of others and their goals and their dreams. So, you can also look at, Leo, when it comes to food. I was reading an article about, Leo and food. It has a delicacy to it. Like, Leo likes food that is very, very delicate, very, very extravagant, very, very luxurious. So you can look at the foods that are delicate, that are decadent, that are those kind of things like that, and be open to new foods that are extravagant, to new foods that are very fancy and very, very high end in their quality, and try new things, like layers of science, very, very, like, I like what I like, but you can actually open up and try new things, because you never know what you'll like if you don't, if you try it. Like, you never know what you'll like if you don't try it. Can you recognize those in your environment and see them for who they are? Like being able to remember who people are, track who people are, and keep track of, oh, they like this thing. Oh, they do not like this thing. Oh, they fear this. Oh, they reject that. Oh, they're depressed about that. You know, like being able to recognize all these characteristics of others and just remember and keep track of it. Like, you know, we get old and we don't remember things. You know, kind of our memory gets lost. Like, you know, it's very, very important for Leo to look at, because it's about its immediate environment. So paying attention, that's really, really important, and putting a lot of stock in that is huge when it comes to being able to recognize and track down people and recognize who is in your environment and who they are and how they operate. Leo can also be very, very self-absorbed in itself, and I'm certainly this way because I'm in my progressed moon in Leo, and I feel like I'm a very, very self-absorbed person at this point in my life right now. But so, you know, this is saying during this Gemini transit, like, get outside of yourself, like, self-awareness is very, very important for Leo. You know, self-awareness, knowing that there is more to life than what is, you know, in your, you know, coffin in where you live. You know, your life is not suction cupped onto the end of your nose. You know, there are more, you know, there are bigger and larger and broader aspects to life that you're not aware of. And so can you get outside of yourself to see, or that you may not be aware of? Like, can you get outside of yourself to see, who is in your life? Interact with others, get to know others. Look at how they are spreading their light, how they are expressing their authentic self. I sound foreign when I say that, sorry. Being, you know, sharing their gifts and not only yours, and like appreciating them stepping into their spotlight, not being all about you all the time. Like Leo is learning, doesn't have to be about you all the time. You can actually honor others, you know, being in their authentic selves, while being self-honoring yourself without being narcissistic and jealous. Like knowing your values and minding your own business, you know, and respecting others doing the same, minding their own business and shining their light, and interacting with others without necessarily having to take them down because you feel, you know, you feel like they're stealing the spotlight from you. They feel like they're too big for you. And I'm going to tell you right now, it does feel kind of humbling for me to say that, because it does take a lot of work to do that. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of years, a lot of effort and a lot of wisdom and awareness to honor others while not being envious of others, and respect others while not taking others down. You know, so that's a pretty evolved thing to be in, and that's just not going to happen instantly. Like, you have to, over time, work up to that. So, you know, meeting others, doing all that. Okay, Virgo. Spend enough time on Leo there. So, Virgo. How you gather information in your immediate environment, you know, in your life might be radically changed. You know, because Virgo gathers information and it looks at, you know, the logical, rational information, as opposed to Gemini, just any information, true or not. Like, Virgo has more boundaries on the information that it has, and it's very, very discerning on that information. So, can you be open and up to date with new ways of gathering information, like the data checkers, or the phone that you look up, or the tracker on your computer, or whatever it is that gathers information. It might be changed. So it's about, you know, Uranus says this. There's a quote that somebody told me a long time ago, and this is so Uranus and so Aquarius. This is what this person said to me. I quote, The world is changing, so change with it too. Now, I don't always agree with this, but at times I do very much agree with it. Like, that is so true. Like, Aquarius asks you and Uranus, like, change, be with the times, like, the world is not how it was 15 years ago, 2 years ago, like, it's changed. So, don't live in the past, don't live in, kind of the ghostlands in a non-realistic version, like, live in this present reality and live for the here and now, like live for the now, what the world is at the now. And it can be hard because so much of the world is very, very tough right now, and you want to deny a lot of the world, so it is tough. But choose to live a reality that is current, that is, that you do agree with and that you are on the side of. So, okay. So, there could be localized wars in your environment that you could very, very much easily find in your environment, Virgo. And I think that these wars get started because of you criticize somebody, or they criticize you, and either you take offense to the criticism or they take offense. And you get into this whole tizzy and, present wrap-up of, this offense to you and this personal attack, like, understand, like, they're not trying to attack you, they're just trying to just deliver you truthful information. Be with those that care about you, like, give you constructive criticism to care about you and be, loving and compassionate to you. Like, there is compassionate criticism. And loosening up your defenses toward that is very, very important. And, there could be a lot of wars that can come up. So choose to respond in a non-judgmental and a non-fighting way, and choose to respond from a loving, caring place and say, you know what? I understand this. Like, understand why the person, like, have a conversation, like, understand why they're criticizing you. Where they're coming from. To understand, to not argue with them, and either, go along if you authentically feel like you want to go along with that criticism, or that you agree with that criticism and believe in that criticism, or if you don't, then can you just be open enough to say, I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it. Like, you can say it honestly, but you don't have to, like, every criticism that somebody gives you is just suggestions for you to act on. It's not like you have to apply it. They're just suggestions. You have the free will of whether you want to apply it or not. Like, opinions are opinions. Everybody has their opinions, but, what about curiosity? What about open-mindedness? What about just, respect for the other's perspective? Like, that's all I'm saying here. So, then, the other thing is, making your medicine closer to home with those in your close community. Like, Virgo is the one who knows all the lotions and potions and the supplements and the dietary, medicines and, whatever. And it can be where it is, more closer to home with those in your community, where you are you looking at localized medicine as opposed to just medicine that is for the strap of all. So you're looking at making your medicine more closer to home, where you can make medicine more versatile for the masses and medicine easier for the collective. Like Virgo's here to make something accessible. Virgo's here to serve. And, that's going to be a theme in a future video that I might be discussing, sort of giving you little hints for this video that I started thinking about, yesterday, and I want to put some things together. It will be on, I think I want to make it on my, this podcast, not my Real Me podcast, so sometime I will do that when I have the time to do that. I will spend the time to do that, maybe a couple days from now, maybe not, be even this week, I don't know, I'll see. But so, now, it's very, very important to also look at AI. Like, Virgo wants things to be proper and right and ethical. It's very, very concerned with ethics. And so, we need to make AI ethical, to respect its privacy, to respect the sacredness of humanity. Do not take that away from us. We have to have an ethical version of AI that is, sustainable for the long term and right for us, and where we are in right relationship with this technology, and discern what is and isn't ethical. Discerning between these things is very, very important. The Virgo can help with this discernment to determine what should be kept and what should not be kept with this. Libra. So, Libra, know that you don't have to do the heavy lifting in relationships. You don't have to put in all the work to make a relationship work and get along with the person and compromise and, people please and all the stuff that you get into. You can, just be open to whatever relationship. And if the relationship doesn't work out, you don't have to stay in that relationship. Like, you can choose a relationship that is true for you, as I keep bringing up over and over again with Libra. Like, it evolves through Aries. So, being open to, it's openness to new relationships. Like, you don't have to stay in a relationship that you don't like, but just be open to trying new relationships, because you don't know if the relationship is going to work out unless you try it, unless you're in it. So be open-minded towards new people, be open-minded in your relationship, and then after you get to know them, like, okay, this person is for me, I can stay with them, or this person doesn't work for me, I can actually move away from them. Like, I don't have to interact with them. I don't have to be in this relationship with you. You can actually be open to forming relationships with people and be open-minded and be collaborative and all that. But you don't have to stay in relationships that are not true for you. But you can be open. You can also balance out the lavish life that you live with the simple life. So, this can look like, the nice house, the nice, diamonds are a girl's best friend. The lavish, things when it comes to, jewelry, and, because Libra has an eye for aesthetic and beauty, and it has these dreams and fantasies of living this very, very high life, and it ideally wants to live that. Like, there's this deep emotional need for this. But there's also the simpler life, the more sensible, practical, realistic life. And this is kind of why Libra is square to Capricorn. So, look at balancing the more simple, sustainable, just doable life with the lavish life. And then, being open to others, being open-minded to others, and their ideas and their, perspectives. You don't have to people please and go along with their perspectives if you don't agree with it. But Libra is an air sign, so you can be open-minded. Like air signs the high road is like, I'm open-minded to new ideas, but I'm discerning what ideas are true for me. I'm not going along with this idea if it's not true for me, but I'm open to new ideas. Like, that's the high road of Aquarius. Like, Aquarius is principles and ideals and, beliefs that holds true for themselves, but it doesn't have to be so rigid and so, and so non-open. Like, it can be open to new ideas while not always having to, agree and just go along with and just be satisfied with all ideas that exist. So that is really, really important for air signs. And then looking at the genes of those around you to see what patterns you picked up. To use those in your family line to what the people around you to see what pattern you picked up, because Libra is karma. Like, what goes around comes around. What you do comes back to you. What happened in your past lives come back to you in this life. And so, seeing, really, really looking at, the patterns of what, really, really happened for you in your life and how they sort of, worked out for you very, very easily. That is all that matters when it comes to, what you're here to do. Is determined to be with those people that do have good karma for you, and you do put good karma out into the world with these people, and the relationships do work out. So you're here to form relationships that do work out for you, and release the patterns that don't work for you. Keep the patterns and the people whose genes have passed down positive things for you. Scorpio. All right. So, okay. So, what you can do, Scorpio, is Scorpio is very, very strong in its beliefs. It is very, very passionate and very, very intense in its beliefs. It will defend them in an intense way. And so, can you fight for your ideologies? Your beliefs, your values that make up how you see the world and how you act in the world, in a diplomatic way. You don't always have to, it doesn't have to be all intense and all, raging and, like I'm destroying you to make myself feel secure. Like, the downside to Scorpio is destroying others to just make themselves feel secure for their own gain. Like, taking others down for your own gain. Like, you don't have to be so, intense in your delivery. You can be soft and gentle and kind and open and diplomatic. You can use your intense, deep love for others in a diplomatic, kind way and not in a destructive way. Also, what movements can you reform where you are getting to the surface of what is actually going wrong with you? What are those movements? Where, okay, so this is saying, what I'm talking about here is, there's the cusp between Scorpio and Sagittarius is the cusp of resolution. It's called that because Scorpio digs down deep below the surface to say, like, what is wrong? What is going on? What doesn't work? And so if you go below the surface and say, like, okay, this system, the structure is flawed, it doesn't work, there's some issues with this, then you can look at how you can reform the structure to make it more true for you, to make it more technologically savvy, to make it more lettuce-like. So that's what you can do. And then, the other thing is Scorpio is very, very aware of, one of the things that I talk about Scorpio on these videos is being aware of humans and really the not so good aspects of humanity and human nature. So it's good to be aware of this, specifically when it comes to internet safety. Scorpio wants to keep things hidden, wants to keep things private, wants to keep things protected. And this is a good thing about Scorpio, because it doesn't just reveal everything to you. It doesn't want you to see its Googles and its emails and all those things. It wants to keep a lot of things private because Scorpio does things in a very hidden, private way. And so Scorpio, when you can during this time, keep your accounts, keep your data online private, and be able to privatize that data and be able to put a filter around it where you're not just letting others just take the data and steal the data, away from you, Scorpio can actually be like, okay, I am putting, privacy on this. I'm putting restrictions on this so that others don't steal my data. So it becomes very, very important with that. And then trusting, just Scorpio feels genuinely like the world is a scary, evil, dangerous place. It can actually be very, very cynical. Scorpio can actually be very, very cynical as a sign. And, trust that governments and authorities and people in positions of power in your life and people in positions and authority in your life are taking measures to look after and manage what is unsafe. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. Like these things are getting, taken care of for you. Where, you don't have to, worry about the unsafe spreading of all these hypocrisies, of all these lies, of all these scandals, of all these, dangerous things that they are getting looked after. People are on top of it, people are taking care of it, and you don't need to fret about it. Okay, Sagittarius now. We're moving on to Sagittarius. How far are we into this? Okay, we're almost at an hour. I figured this would be very, very long. It always is very, very long. So, Sagittarius. Sagittarius travels a lot of places in its life and explores a lot of different ideologies and philosophies and perspectives. And about, during this time, there may be new facial recognition technologies. And can you recognize all the faces for all the places that you do travel? Recognizing, all those faces. Being able to track down, who is who. Being able to just go back and know other. That's very, very important. And then, opening up to new ways of learning information. Like Sagittarius is about learning information and new ways of learning information. Like not being stuck in the same way of learning this information over here and doing all that over there and doing all that. Like Sagittarius can be like, I'm learning new information in new, advanced, skillful ways. And it can be very much about expanding your mind to new information and new ways of thinking and, learning about the world. So that can be very, very, huge for Sagittarius when it comes to, because it's a sign about expanding your mind. So that's huge. And then what movements can you lead where you are standing up for your beliefs? Because Sagittarius is about beliefs, and it has very, very strong beliefs as a sign. And so what movements, can you lead where, I believe in the wage being cut down, so I'm going to stand up for this. Or in my community, or in my family, I believe in everybody getting a more equal-sized meal at dinner. I believe, just a personal level, I believe that I should be contributing around the house, or that I should get treated more fairly in my family situations. I'm going to stand up for this. It doesn't have to be this big, broad thing for humanity. It can be a very, very small thing. With small movements in your life, in your personal life, in your community, or to the world. Well, probably not likely for you. Well, we have to get realistic with astrology. We have to ground astrology. Chances are you're not going to, when I say, fight for things in your, larger, for the masses, you're not going to, that's not going to resonate with you. So I'm trying the best I can to make this very collective and mundane information practical and relatable for you. And so, what movements can you lead in your life where you're standing up for this beliefs? Like be assertive. Stand up for these beliefs. Don't, push these under the carpet. Be assertive about, this is what I believe and I'm going to stand up for it. and being open to new modes of making traveling easier for you. Because Sagittarius is about travel. And so traveling smart is a huge thing. Like there's shows like The Travel Detective, there's travel guides, travel tips, such as like Rick Steves has travel guides and travel books you can look up and read on trips for making travel. If you plan on traveling, Sagittarius is about like traveling, making traveling easier for you in your life, more convenient for you in your life, if that should apply for you over the broad span of 7 to 8 years. Like, this isn't just 2 weeks or whatever. This is like a long time this transit is going on. So you can refer to this back over time. So, making travel easier for you, more convenient for you is really, really huge. Capricorn. Now, Capricorn really needs to look at the changing dynamic with your friends over this whole period. Over this whole span of time, when it comes to your friends and how it can go very, very easily for you when it comes to when it comes to your friends and all of this. So looking at the dynamic that's changing within these friend relationships is going to be very, very huge for you. Where you are looking to the signs of how you feel, looking to the signs, Capricorn, like seeing how they feel about your goals. Like really considering, how others are perceiving what you're doing, and if you're doing it compassionately or not, or if you are, I'm going to talk about, you can consider others and the impact of what you do that have that others, but you don't have to cater to them. You don't have to people please to them. You don't have to, totally bend your way of living towards them. And and all of that. That's very, very important for Capricorn. And then making time for Capricorn can suffer from workaholic tendencies, like working so hard, working up the mountain, being a workaholic, goals, projects, needing to make the money and, do all that. And it can forget, it's kind of like, you're so busy with what you're doing in your own goals that you forget to make dinner for the people in your life, and then everybody shows up and like, where are you? You didn't take care of the people in your life. Like attending to these other details of your life, like the more personal details of your life. And when it comes to, especially when it comes to just relaxing and enjoying life and enjoying time away from work. Like during this time, it's good to get away from always working and being, ambitious and all this. And making time for relaxation and enjoyment, as opposed to always working all the time. So doing things that you enjoy, such as watching a show or playing a game or whatever. Those things can really, really help you out. And then when you are committing to a goal and something happens, so let's say, okay. So let's say that you are, committing to a goal, and then, something happens to that goal, where you're doing something online and the internet crashes, or you are, doing a goal for work, and then, this new person comes in, or this, new piece of information comes about, and it disrupts the goal, like you were going along, and then something disrupts that goal that you didn't expect. Like, this is a very, very, very difficult lesson for people to learn, is being okay with changes. And the universe is not going to give you anything that, you do not deserve to happen to you. And, not going to give you anything that, well, not going to give you anything that's not meant for you to happen in your life. Like, the universe is very, very wise and loving, and sometimes it can throw curveballs for you to evolve and become a better version of yourself. So something may happen that disrupts it, and so be as adaptable as you can to that change. You know, being as adaptable as you can to whatever change comes about. And so also look at the structures of your life. Capricorn can be, like, Capricorn is conditioned to follow along with its grandfathers, its ancestors, its you know, people in positions of authority, you know, doing all this, you know, very, very easily. You know, people in, you know, high positions, like people in power, people, you know, ruling the roost and doing all this. You know, so what structures in your life hold you back from living the life of your dreams? That is, you know, very, very, you know, important for you when it comes to that. So, you know, like what structures hold you back from pursuing the life that you know, authentically want to live for yourself? Well, like, Capricorn gets so beaten down by hierarchies and, you know, traditions. Like they're so conditioned, like they have to work hard and they have to be responsible. Like, they're trained into being very, very responsible, very, very at a young age, and they have to be very, very, you know, on top of things and the backbone of their family and self-sufficient. Like, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations put on Capricorn individuals. And so what structures in your life hold you back from living the life of your dreams and pursuing the goals that you want to pursue? Because other people can hold you back, like, oh, you have to follow my traditions, you have to follow my you know, my goals, my ideas, you know, being molded into the person that I want you to be. You know, adhere to these standards, you know, like all of this. So looking at the structures that limit you from that is very, very important. And then, you know, in Aquarius, you know, this can be very, very big for, you know, Aquarius. So let's talk about Aquarius now. So moving on to Aquarius. So with this transit, Aquarius can look at new ways of thinking about the world. You know, like, Aquarius is here to open up to new ways of thinking and looking at the world around it. And so, you know, when you can be open to that is very, very important. And then, you know, Aquarius is about technology, and it can really, really go wild with technology because it rules technology and it wants to interact with technology with others in a kind of, you know, very, very special way. And so when you can use it ethically, like when you can respect others' privacy, others' humanity on technology, you know, like using it for whatever you want to use it for, to market your business, to spread ideas, to spread your message, but using it ethically is very, very important. And then, what new transportation inventions can you come up with? Like Aquarius is, you know, Aquarius individuals are the innovators. They are the inventors. They come up with, you know, new inventions for humanity, for the larger group of people. So what new inventions of transportation? It could be the, you know, the pedal wheel, or, you know, whatever new invention. You know, just imagine, you know, that invention coming up with a new. What inventions can you come up with to make transportation easier for you and others? And also, what alternatives can you create? Like, how are you getting around Aquarius? And is it working out for you? Like, is this technology working out for you in your life? With what alternatives make your life more convenient for you as an individual, to make it more convenient for you to get around. Like what Aquarius is about, like doing things one way and then changing it, because it's not working out for you. So what is not working out for you? What can you change to make it more modern, more new, more advanced, that can actually work out for you in your life? And then Aquarius is about the young people coming to the play. Like Capricorn is the old, traditional, wise elders, the people who are very, very responsible and traditional in authority. But Aquarius is the young people, the young teenagers, with their new ideas. Like it's about youth and people with new ideas and people who are fresh and new, who have radical new ideas that could shift humanity, that are apart from your ancestors, apart from everybody else's ideas, apart from the traditional ideas of life, and people who bring in new ideas, new visions, and new ideals to the forefront, where you can embrace the efforts of the young when they are sharing their ideas, and when they're doing this, like being open to these new ideas, and actually reaching out and collaborating with young people in your life that have new ideas that are radically different from your own. Like Aquarius at best is here to be open-minded toward ideas that are radically different than your own, as opposed to like cutting them off because those ideas don't align with them. And I stated with Libra, like your ideas don't have to, they don't have to resonate with you. You don't have to go along with those ideas, but at least be open to those ideas. At least be, open-minded and interested in those ideas. Like just be curious to those ideas. You don't have to, just go along and live out every idea, but just accept them for what they are, Aquarius. That's all I'm saying. Pisces. Okay, so finally Pisces. So Pisces is a sign that, like, if a spaceship landed on Earth, then Pisces would be the first one to board, because they just want to escape from reality. Like, Neptune is the planet that rules Pisces, and whatever house it's in is like the area of life that you want to escape. So for me, it's money, economics, prices, that whole area. Whenever I see things very, very expensive, whenever I hear about economics, all those things, I just want to disassociate. I just want to tune out. I don't have anything to do with any of that, because the whole money thing out the window. But so anyway, there are a lot of sides of the world that you do want to escape, Pisces, because Pisces can feel like the world is a very, very miserable place. Like it's a very, very difficult place to live in, because it's a very negative place, because of all the disruption and the chaos and the turmoil and the war and the struggle and the hatred in the world. And the things about the world that you want to disassociate from, like Pisces wants to disassociate and, and escape from the world. But what are the good aspects of the world, Pisces? Like, what are the sides that you can learn about? Excuse me. What are the aspects of the world that you are opening to learning towards? What are the sides of the world? What are the things in the world that you are opening to learning about these things? That you are opening to learning about, all of these different things. And what are you open to learning about that is something, an aspect of the world, such as human decency, such as something historical that you found very, very interesting. I mean, whatever it is that you like, that is a light side to you, that is makes you feel at peace with yourself, that it is harmonious to your very, very sensitive and empathetic energy, very, very psychic energy at times. But being open to learning that. Also, Pisces has very, very poor boundaries. Like, it has a lot of struggles with being able to discern what is fact and what is fiction. Because Pisces can struggle with, discerning what is true and what is not true. What information is true and what information is false. So with all the information that's going to be coming about at this time, with all the, bombardment and stimulus of information that's going to be coming at you over these next 7 to 8 years, with Uranus and Gemini, can you be discerning over what information is factual and what information is not? Very, very important. So as best you can, developing those boundaries. And how can your mind, body, soul connection to your life, how is that going for you? How is your mind, body, soul connection to life going for you? How are you connecting to life on a physical, mental, and spiritual level? With to the grass is greener on the other side, to the corn in the field, to the videos you're watching on YouTube. I mean, how are you connecting? How are you feeling about it? What are you thinking about it? How are you intuiting that? And how is it connecting you? How is it, connecting to things? How are you connecting to the world around you? Being very, very conscious of that and seeing, if you're connecting accurately, or if you're, are you connecting to the world around you in a meaningful way? Or is it just a way where you're just disassociating and, superficial and whatever? Is it a meaningful way that feels true for you? And also, Pisces is very, very, it's a very, very creative energy. And it can, you can create, the stories that you want to, if it should get invented that, movies should get invented, where you can actually participate in the movie and be a character in that movie and change how the story goes with how you, controlling what happens and manipulating what happens in the movie and being a participant in that character. Just imagine if the characters could see you and interact with you. That would be amazing. But you have the freedom to create whatever you want to create in this life. So you can write the story. You are the creator, you are the dreamer, you are the co-creator. You create with spirit. And whatever story and plot line you can create with movies and TV shows, you can create, whatever you want to in those movies and in those TV shows. You can, you can, create whatever scene you want, whatever situation, whatever event you want, and be whatever character that you wish, because you're the dreamer. You create what has you. Pisces is a very, very creative energy. It dreams up what hasn't been created before in the dream state, and at best it can turn that dream into reality by acting on it when Pisces has enough earth energy to do so, when the earth element is balanced out with that. So creating whatever storyline you want to with that is really, really important for Pisces. Alright, that is your horoscope for Uranus and Gemini. That is your horoscopes for all 12 signs for your sun, moon, and rising sign. I hope that you found this video useful. I may not be able to post this video till later. I don't know. This video may be coming out later. Whenever it does come out, I may post it now, post it soon, and then have to do the timestamps later. Just because of something that just came up with, my medical health issues that I have to attend to today. Anyway, that is your horoscope for Uranus and Gemini. I hope that you got something out of your horoscope. I hope that you got some meaningful insights out of this. It was a little bit different this time, but I think that I still delivered meaningful messages to you anyway. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you haven't seen the collective video on yours in Gemini, I'd really go back and say that, because that's going to give you a lot of information on what this transit means for the collective and what it's really about. So this is a more in-depth look on it for the sign. So anyway, that is all I have in this episode of the Cosmic Sky Podcast. I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now, everybody.